This program is brought to you by Community Trust Bank, Medical City, Bid Select, and the Neely School of Business at TCU. Welcome to Platforms, the life-lifting news program for women. Now, here's your host, Shivaun Palmer.
Hey everybody, welcome to Platforms. This week we're honored to be visiting with the Afghan ambassador to the United States, His Excellency Saeed Jawad. After 9/11, Ambassador Jawad returned to his country to assist with the state-building process. He's a close and trusted advisor to the current president, Hamid Karzai, and he's been instrumental in the drafting of the Afghan constitution, as well as in writing Afghanistan's foreign investment laws. Ambassador, welcome to the show. It's an honor.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Absolutely honored to have you here. Let's start in this first section, if we could, introduce our audience, just give some demographic information about Afghanistan. I know many Americans get all inundated with all kinds of sound bites, but I'd really like to talk about your country. So what is the population of Afghanistan?
Population is about 26 million. Mm-hmm. The size of the country is almost the size of the state of Texas.
Almost the
same, France,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, very few things are bigger than the state of Texas, yes. Talk about the natural resources of your country.
Afghanistan has tremendous natural resources, including some newly discovered lithium, coal, iron ore, copper, gold, and also natural gas and oil. And the value of these minerals are estimated between $1 to $3 trillion.
$trillion.
Yeah.
You know, there was a lot in the news about that recently. So having made that discovery, how do you think that might impact the country from an economic standpoint if it's approached in the correct way in the coming years?
It shows that Afghanistan will sustain its economy if there is further investment in building the infrastructure in Afghanistan, which is underway, which is taking place, then the country will sustain itself. A lot of these items are very much in need globally, but also especially in our neighborhood with emerging countries such as India and China.
So in other words, the lithium and some of these materials, many can be used for batteries and computers, so that market obviously is worldwide and massive.
Absolutely, and so is copper and iron ore, very much in demand in the region. So we are really looking forward for investment, particularly by U.S. companies and our NATO partners, because they have been really paying with their blood and treasure in Afghanistan. Their investment will welcome and they will take priority over any other country. We are hoping that this kind of investment will start soon, because by creating jobs and giving opportunities, we are also helping stabilize the country.
Mm-hmm. Now, in terms of the infrastructure, what projects are currently going on to establish that critical piece?
The first priority for Afghanistan was building the roads, and we made tremendous progress in that. More than 5,000 kilometers of asphalt road is being built. Over 15,000 of secondary roads have been repaired. We are working on extending railroad extensions from our neighboring countries into Afghanistan, and work is underway to explore coal and natural gas in Afghanistan that provide a source of sustainable energy to exploit these resources.
Now, the contractors that are building this infrastructure, are you employing the Afghan people, or do you have people from various countries involved with these contracts? And what countries are leading the effort in the building?
Depending on the expertise needed on building these projects, with the United States, fortunately, we have a program called Afghan First. So if there is capabilities available in Afghanistan, the U.S. companies are required, actually, by law, to hire Afghans. And then if such expertise is not available, they can bring it from outside. But the area of the reconstruction, the United States is leading the part. Japan is a major contributor to us, and so is a number of other European countries. Overall, 61 countries are helping Afghanistan financially.
61 countries, that's amazing. Let's talk about an element that's critical worldwide, water. I know water is an issue for you over in Afghanistan, so how are you meeting the challenges of possibly not having enough water?
The real challenge in Afghanistan is not so much shortage of water, it's the management of water. We have, during the spring, and heavy rainfall and snowfall, a lot of these waters are washed away into the neighboring countries. All the rivers that are going, or in the region, or originating from Afghanistan, are going into the neighboring countries. Mm-hmm. So we are working with our neighboring countries to establish actually the legal rights of us and those countries on the rivers, on the riparian rights. But most importantly, we are asking and seeking investment in building dams that will not only control these water reservoirs for Afghanistan, but also generate electricity, which is very much in need and in demand in Afghanistan and in the neighborhood.
Let's talk, another issue that has been brought to light is the deforestation in Afghanistan. Can you comment on that?
That unfortunately, because of the many years of war, a lot of the forests, and especially in eastern Afghanistan, were destroyed, cut illegally. In the past 5 years, Afghanistan has put a moratorium on any kind of cutting of trees in Afghanistan. To the extent that we can enforce that, it's going well. But unfortunately, because of the war and terrorism, so the government cannot strictly enforce that. And unfortunately, trees are still being cut and smuggled out of Afghanistan.
Right. Let's talk about this situation. I mean, the resurgence of the Taliban and how the government is dealing with that situation right now. What would you say is the current state of how entrenched the Taliban is within Afghanistan?
The military operations is going well. There will be another major operation coming up in Kandahar. At the same time, we are trying to reach out to more moderate elements of Taliban to bring them into the political fold. We have had a peace council or a national jirga, what we call it, in Kabul, to build consensus on the issue of peace and reconciliation. So I think by keeping the political pressure on, we will see better results of having the Taliban to come and also sit on the discussion table and talk to us and get some results through reconciliation.
I know that President Karzai has been criticized for, quote unquote, cozying up to the Taliban, but for our audience, Your Excellency, could you explain to us just a little bit of the history of the Taliban and what this group is about, where this group started?
This group was created mainly by Pakistan in the early 90s because of the chaos in Afghanistan. They were recruited from different religious schools in Pakistan, sent to Afghanistan. They took power in part of Afghanistan. Because of the lack of international interest back then to Afghanistan, so nobody really took them very seriously until the unfortunate incident of 9/11 took place, which was the result of the Taliban being in Afghanistan and the Taliban inviting a lot of the international terrorists to come to Afghanistan. So after that, the United States and many other countries took interest, came back to Afghanistan as trying to help us out. Today, Taliban consists of a variety of groups. There is probably a 10% ideological Taliban that are affiliated with Al-Qaeda and others. That group has to be fought with, eliminated. Then we have 30% of the Taliban that are mainly militias that are being recruited by narco-traffickers, neighboring countries and others. But there's also a significant number of the Taliban that are fighting because they're getting paid to do so. So if you give them job and hope, we are hoping to take him away from the terrorists and put him back into the Afghan society.
Okay. Ambassador, if you've held that thought, we have to go to break. But when we come back, we will continue our conversation with His Excellency Saeed Jawad. This is Shivaun Palmer with Platforms, a life-lifting news program for women.